a scene which is all about the subplot. It's all about Edgar and Gloucester and features dramatic irony and a soliloquy. These are aspects of Shakespeare's storytelling. It is your job to read the little summary there. We're on page 46 of your paper 2 notebook. I'm going to really briefly explain 2 of the important quotes that occur in this scene. The scene takes place in the aftermath of Gloucester's arrest and torture and the death of Cornwall. Following the gouging of his eyes, following his physical blinding, Gloucester is cast out by Regan into the storm. And there's this synchronicity, I was trying not to use a big word. There's this balance between the fact that he's lost his physical ability to see and at the same time learned to see the truth of his sons. He knows now that Edmund is the traitor and that Edgar was mistreated. And Gloucester's sense of palpable, really powerful sense of regret at what he's done is communicated when he says, "I have no way and therefore want no eyes. I stumbled when I saw." Great line, that, isn't it? "For full oft to see our mean secures and our mere defects prove our commodities. O dear son Edgar, the food of thy abused father's wrath." When he says those words, again, happens so often in this play, where our perception of characters change. I won't dwell on it here. But this is another parallel with Lear. There's so many parallels between Lear and Gloucester. Here we have Gloucester, suddenly seeing the truth. "I stumbled when I saw. When I had my eyes, I made mistakes." And the mistake he made was to chew up and spit out his son Edgar. He thought Edgar was a traitor. He was wrong. Edgar, he knows now, was loyal and was mistreated. And very much like Cordelia, in the moment when you would expect him to feel sorry for himself after the terrible violence that's been visited upon him, his thoughts are not for himself. He doesn't want help. He's being offered help by a peasant and then by poor Tom. He doesn't know that's his son Edgar, of course. That's where the dramatic irony is. But in these moments when any of the rest of us would be feeling the agonizing pain of what's happened to him, he can only think of the mistake he made and the pain that he inflicted on his son. And that makes him more sympathetic. He tells poor Tom that he's going to commit suicide. I'm not suggesting you learn this whole quote. In fact, I probably should have highlighted it in green rather than in red. But if you want to talk about, in yellow, if you want to talk about a moment in play where there is great despair and great anticipation and a great what if moment, it's when Gloucester says this to poor Tom. "There is a cliff whose high and bending head looks fearfully in the confine deep. Bring me but to the very brim of it, and I'll repair thy misery, the misery thou dost bear, with something rich about me. From that place I shall no leading need." Bring me to a cliff, and I have money, wealth, valuables on me. I'll pay you. There's enough to change your life here, because you won't need to lead me from there. And why won't he need to be led from there? Because he intends to jump off the cliff. So here's a man driven to the point of suicide by a combination of his own weaknesses and his own frailties and mistakes and the cruel, malicious exploitation of somebody who is his own blood. Later in the play, Edgar talks about how, I won't give the exact quote now, but just to paraphrase, he talks about how, when we sin, there are consequences. He tells his brother Edmund that's why Gloucester had to suffer, because the conception of Edmund was a sin. There's a real sense that Gloucester is really paying a very heavy price for his failings here. I don't know if I feel I can condemn him. It's a great scene.